Good afternoon, good morning, good evening. Welcome to Focus on Liberia, special edition review of the week with me, Edward Amara, focusing mainly on stories that happen on the continent, especially on the west part of Africa. So today is a special edition. I'm going to take this opportunity to review some of the major stories on the continent, especially those that took place on the west coast of Africa. Today we are actually focusing on two countries. Maybe I could be sounding a bit selfish because we are only focusing on stories in Liberia, Sierra Leone, and Guinea, our three neighboring countries, and see how situations on development in the last week. Today is a very fresh week that was started, so we are only reviewing some of the major development that took place on the continent in respect of West Africa last week. Welcome to this all important show where we dialogue, we give you information in respect of the continent. Today we are going to start with Sierra Leone. This is a country that I rarely come with stories. In respect of Sierra Leone, we are going to start with Sierra Leone. First, what is happening to Sierra Leone? Let's say we don't know the stipulated time for elections to be conducted into Guinea because of the military junta that is currently heading the country. But Liberia, it is slated for October 2023, while in Sierra Leone, it is slated for June 2023. In fact, Sierra Leone, it is stipulated June 24th, 2023. That is when we'll be having our presidential, parliamentary, and local councils election on the 24th of June 2023. That is when the presidential. But in Sierra Leone, before this time, we used to have maybe a popular vote. It's a democracy. Sierra Leone, our constitution calls for a kind of multi-party system. In that multi-party system, you have the president, who is the head of the executive. Then you have the head of the parliament, who could be, he is a speaker, but we have three branches of government. We have the executive, we have the legislature, then we have the judiciary. These are the three components. Although we have the media, the fourth estate, some people call it the media, and they even want to say that it is maybe the fourth arm of government, which is the media. Then in this, we have the president, who is, of course, the all-powerful man. He appoints his cabinet or his ministers who steer the political affairs of the state. And the president actually is the head of the executive. He appoints his ministers, and those ministers work directly to him. They work under his whims and caprices. He appoints them, but the appointment must go through parliament after they scrutinize, if not vet him, to ascertain the fact that this person is necessarily worth being a minister. In return, that minister pays loyalty to Mr. President. And if he cannot support, or if he or she cannot support the party of the day, the president has the constitutional mandate to sack him. Because he does possess veto power, but he only uses it on rare occasion. Then you have the parliament, which its head is the speaker. They make the laws. Then in after we have 112 parliamentarians, we also have what they call members, paramount chiefs, each district. Now each of the 14 districts, now what they do, they present a paramount chief. Any district must present a paramount chief. That paramount chief will be an unofficial member of the parliament, because he is not being appointed, elected by the entire populace. Rather, his colleagues, paramount chief, elect him. And when he comes into power in parliament, it's actually there, maybe they support the government of the day, but also make sure that any legislation being made into the parliament are in conformity with the local people in the land. That is, the district where he is representing, he must respect the norms, the tradition, and other things that affect these people. So that those MPs, maybe who with their westernized mentality, may not end up to enact laws that may go against the people within his chiefdom or within his district. They also have the judiciary, headed by the Attorney General, the Lord Chief Justice. So in essence here, if the president is not around, the VP take charge. If the VP is not around, the Speaker of the House take charge. If the Speaker of the House is not around, so it is the Attorney General that normally take over because he's the head of the judiciary. So our constitution. So before this time, we used to have what they call absolute majority for the presidential system of government. It means for you to be declared the president-elect into any presidential election, you must have 55% of the total valid vote cast. That is why normally our presidential election goes into second round. Because, especially, I'm not talking about the first time. Maybe if you can win your election for the first time, depending, most people, if you want to unseat a party, maybe you can form a coalition, then unseat that particular party. But sometimes we have seen our presidential election going into, well, second round. Or during the second term of that person in office, the president, he may win the election flat or with a landslide victory. But if his term of office expires after he might have run a 2-term in case, then he is relinquishing power by another new person about to come and take over the helm of affairs. We have seen those elections going into second round because maybe the party may have lost popularity. Maybe the charisma, man with the charisma, the man whom many people thought that it is because of him that we voted this social party for, that man is no longer constitutionally mandated to run for office. So if somebody new is coming in, the opposition also may tend to be so powerful. So many a time we have seen that ruling party lost election during their second and final time in office. But something very new has now come out about the Sierra Leone election system. We are now having what they call PPR, the proportional representation system. So instead of the what that kind of general election, we're having the PR system, the proportional representation. It is slightly different from the parliamentary election that we have in Britain, because in Britain, where you have Rishi Sunak, the current Prime Minister of Great Britain, he's actually not elected directly as a Prime Minister. He's elected as a Member of Parliament. But in case a party wins the majority of the total vote cast in terms of parliamentary members, then it is his party now that will form what they call the government. And he will be the head of the government because they will elect him as the leader of the party. Like he has in the Labour, they meet the Conservative and the Labour. He's handling the Conservative Party. So they elect him as the leader of the Conservative Party. So if he becomes the leader of the Conservative Party, then it is now the majority of all the MPs now will sit down together and make him their lord, to make him the chief. Then automatically assume the position of the Prime Minister. And he will become the head of the government, not the head of state. The head of the state in Great Britain is the king or queen. For now, the king, King Charles, is the head of state. But he only performs ceremonial powers or ceremonial functions. It is the Prime Minister that runs the government day-to-day affairs. That is why in them they have what they call collective responsibility. It is not an individual responsibility. Unlike our presidential system, both in Liberia, Sierra Leone, and Guinea, it's an individual or ministerial responsibility. But to them, it's a collective responsibility. Whatsoever thing one ministry does, the other one should be in coordination with that ministry. Because if that ministry does something, it may actually bring down the government. And your loyalty is being paid to the MPs, not to the general populace. Your loyalty is being paid to the MPs, to the member of parliament who elected you to become their supreme leader. So you obey to them, you pay pressure. That is why you have vote of no confidence. If they think and feel that no, they no longer trust you, they can pass a vote of no confidence. But in the presidential system, what they do the impeachment. It is the same those members of parliament. So in essence here, the member of parliament are even powerful than the minister because they are being elected directly by the populace. If they are elected directly by the populace or the general citizen, you elect them for a fixed term of office. You don't just sack them, except if they violate major part of the constitution that warrants their sacking or impeachment. And these same so-called parliamentarians who call House of Representatives in Liberia, or have House of Representatives and Senators, they actually have the political mandate to even impeach Mr. President. But they are so corrupt, they are so unscrupulous, some are illy educated. In fact, they don't even debate in parliament. Some of them are backbenchers, which is an insult to our educational system and to the people that they are actually representing. So let's come now to our topic of discussion. Sierra Leone, it has adopted what they call the PR, or the proportional representation. And our constitution states that it is democracy. But in democracy, you have different way of voting pattern. Democracy is just like when people go to vote and majority actually lead. That is why it is government for the people, government by the people, and government for the people. So government of the people, government by the people, and government for the people. So in it is also them that are actually going to elect them. Democracy hailed from Greece, when they used to have anthems and spectacles or spartacles. In anthems, people believe in democracy. They vote in direct democracy. When spectacles, what they normally do, they believe into war, fighting. We are not too much, so they form themselves. So we have seen that way of democracy have taken over. That is why you can even listen to the Greek in Greece, whatsoever thing that normally take place over there. Civilization normally started along this pattern. We are now civilized, but we have not been able to actually digest this type of civilization that we are going through. So since Sierra Leone had adopted the proportional representation system, it's very simple. In the proportional representation system, people need to be adequately educated on how this particular system is being about. It's still democracy, but democracy in its own different version. One, when it is on June the 23rd for Sierra Leone's presidential election, you are not going to see too many faces on the ballot boxes. It is only those that are vying for the presidential election. Those vying for the presidential election are going to be elected as the normal system of voting. So, everybody will vote for Mr. President. And he needs absolute majority to win the election. And even before this time, it is the president who actually has to win the election with absolute majority. But the member of parliament or councillors who are actually the political head of wards, the constituency is divided into wards. Why the district is divided into constituencies. And the region is divided into districts. And we have the north, the south, the east, and the western area. But for administrative purpose, they even divide Freetown into, we have western urban and rural urban. So they divide these places for administrative purposes. So when it is during time of election, it is only the person like Matthew Samura, we has his ballot box or a head on the ballot box. You will see Julius Maada Bio head on the ballot box. Other presidential candidates or other candidate contesting for the presidential post, we also have their faces on the ballot box. But all those who are now vying for the local councillorship, member of parliament, who do not actually have senators here, unlike Liberia, they have senators. We do not have senators here. So those vying for, even our house, we only have one chamber. We don't have two chambers here, we only have one chamber. So all those vying for the presidential election, for the members of parliament or House of Representatives or MPs or parliamentarians, you will not see their faces on the ballot box. they wouldn't be there. That is Nigeria, boy, they wouldn't be there. And what they are going to do in short here, let's assume that Kenima district where I'm staying, they have 11 MPs, member of parliament. This district had to recruit 11 MPs through direct elections. Or through indirect election, through indirect election, 11 MPs. So the SLPP, the APC, the PMDC, the NGC, that is the National Grand Coalition, all of them will present their own candidates. But the names of those candidates are going to be with NEC and the member of and the political parties that they are representing. So in this now, it gives you the opportunity to be elected even when you do not have the money. But similarly, the system can easily be bribed because only few people are given the opportunity maybe to determine who comes first. So the political parties arrange those members of parliament in their order of importance. Just like the scale of preference, some of us who did economic, say go and make your scale of preference. Then when you make your scale of preference, you have what they call opportunity cost and you have the real cost. All of these things are here. So what they normally do, they make like Kenimaya is 11 member of parliament or MPs that are to be elected. So what the SLPP will do, they will have their MPs, those that the party trusts. They will name them, even when they have 30 people vying for the MP position, they will have no problem. They will register them all. You take them into consideration. As long as the party gives you symbol, it's okay. So now they will start now to rate them by order important. That is where the electoral college comes in. The first person who scored the highest number of votes to be given the symbol, they will give you the symbol. They will mark you as number 1, number 2. But in different constituencies, you won into that particular constituency, you are number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4, until it reaches 11. When it reaches 11, K closes. But still, those who came second and third will also be added on their list. But they will not be above the one who won the electoral college election in that particular constituency. That is why they have 11 constituencies, 11 members of parliament are going to be elected. But different candidates will be presented for a particular constituency position. So, in short here, 3 candidates bow under the SLPP for constituency 1 member of parliament election. Out of those 3 candidates, it was Yusuf Brahma that won the electoral college election. So Yusuf Kane is taken number 1. So since Yusuf Brahma is taken number 1, the second person that came to him will be taken number 2. The third person will be taken number 3. But when they are submitting now to SLPP, it will be the first person who won that name will be submitted as number 1 of that particular constituency. But the constituencies are also arranged in number. Let's say they have constituencies 001, 002, 003. So they are going to place it into order important. But as long as you have won that constituency election through the electoral college, it means you are bound. If SLPP wins the election, you are bound to win it. So when those of us now go to vote, we vote for president. But for the member of parliament, we only vote for the party. You don't vote for individual, you vote for the party. So do you see? So in any constituency now, 11% of the total valid vote cast will make that person to win. So if they watch at the total valid vote cast, then one person gets 11%, or this particular political candidate gets political party get 11% of the total valid votes cast. So it is the member of parliament of that particular political party that have won. So they will give you. So in essence here, if SLPP had the majority of all the total votes cast in terms of member of parliament or parliamentary election in Kenima district, then it is only SLPP MPs that are going. That the voting system is very simple, but somehow difficult to understand if to the layman. Then, what is so important about this system again? Let's assume that an MP who was elected based on the proportional representation dies, the person who came to him second into that constituency will automatically become MP without conducting any by-election. Even if a councillor dies, that is the same thing in the world. So it waived away burden for an MP to die, then you come to conduct another election. The another advantage part again, when an MP is also being appointed to another ministerial position, which is non-electable, he or she resigns from the elected position. Then the person who came second to him into that election, you automatically become the member of parliament elect. The advantage is that it waives away the burden of looking for money to conduct fresh president or elect member of parliament election or councillorship. Which normally when it comes to by-election, there is tension, there is havoc, because all the talk, the hoodlums who gather into a particular constituency and try to create havoc. That is the biggest advantage of it, because it waives away those things. However, the system gives a political party the power to even replace most of those elected to people in their cabinet or give them different positions, and they end up to it like a clientism. It creates opportunity for them to get employees easily. So that is the system. So in simple, we are going in for the PRL system, that is the proportional representation. Based on the quota of vote, valid vote is called, we make you to become a member of parliament. Then, another thing could be like, those who the party fail to award symbol, like independent candidates, they have the maximum opportunity to become elected. Because there is a possibility that the person who gained the symbol, but because of the loyalty with the party they can give him, then somebody who is actually popular was not given the opportunity because he or she has no money. So if the general populace can vote for that individual more than 11% or even 11%, the party loses it and the person becomes an independent candidate. You go to parliament. When you get to parliament, you have to be with a political party. Either you form a political party on your own, or you cross carpet to another member of parliament. Then, of course, Skande Yakela is a very popular name in Sierra Leone. He has actually joined the SLPP. He has joined the SLPP. Yesterday and day before yesterday, they were in Kenema and Bo, respectively. He said he's not going to contest against President Biu for the coming June election. Reason being, President Biu has the vision, he has the mission, he has the goals, he has the caliber, he has the tenacity, he's an astute leader, his pragmatism, I help this country, his idealism, he's making Sierra Leone going forward, there is uniformity, there is progress, there is stability, there is economic development. So he does not want to be selfish, self-centered, greedy, or self-manipulative. He wants to support the president's agenda for change, new direction for change, for productivity, for change into our educational system, for change into our road network, for change into our electricity, even our economy. He wants everything to be fully supported. So, in short, he asks all his supporters, the supporters of the National Grand Coalition, that is the NGC, led by Kande Yankila, who was actually working with the UN. He was actually serving as the director of energy and power in UN. He resigned from that position to contest for election into Sierra Leone in the past 2018 election. So he said he has all the money, he has the power, he has the knowledge, he's a professor, but he thinks and feels that Bio is the right person. So he has asked all his supporters to support President Bio. However, he did not devolve his party to the SLPP. His party still remain alive and kicking. So, apart from the presidential election that he is not contesting for, and he automatically or mandated, if not authorized or ordered, his supporters, his sympathizers, or his apologists to vote for SLPP in terms of the presidential election. When he come to MPs, he said he want to see MP return to parliament, excuse me. He want to see his MP return to parliament. So all of them should vote for NGC MPs. But for the president, vote for BU. For MPs, vote for NGC. That is what he has said. And the mandate has been given to his supporters. And they pray and hope that they obey him. That is what they are saying. So the APC is now complaining. Not because of the coalition, but they are complaining because of the PVC, the personal voter ID cards. They are saying it is not authentic, it lacks certain things, but they say this is the kind of biometric PVC that we are using. When you go to vote, we even ask your fingerprints, and it will help the system not to be violated. But the APC is complaining because of certain reasons, and they are claiming that they may not even participate into the election. They may end up to boycott it. But they are not the only presidential or candidate presenting a presidential candidate, or party presenting a presidential candidate. So we are here to see what PPRC will do, civil society and others, because we don't want a chaotic situation into our country, especially at this time that we are going through. So for now, I think those are some of the major developments going on into Sierra Leone. The system is the PRO now, proportional representative. It is no longer the system that we used to do. Let's come to Mama Liberia. The EU has given $10 million to the government, through the government of Liberia, led by George Mana Oponweya, for that particular money to be utilized by the Independent Electoral Commission of Liberia, for the October election to be free and fair. And also that money will be keenly observed, directly utilized for observing the election. All bodies are keenly watching at the elections, and they are urging the Liberian system to obey it and to ensure that they have a free and fair election be conducted. We all know our pattern of systems that are currently operating, and we all know how, because of poverty, illiteracy, and ignorance, as I always say, our nations have been bastardized, and series of events that are taking place. An election just gives people the opportunity. Each time an election is around, it gives people the opportunity to vent out their anger, to destroy properties, to do one or two things. So in those things, situations are not as we have actually been anticipating. Liberia have not been able to organize itself appropriately, even after the civil war that was conducted in that country. If you watch, almost the incidences or the crimes or the violations that led to the 1989 civil war is currently taking place into the country. But one thing is so certain, which is so important, that I almost always aware, human beings are not like low-class animals. I think we have learned our lesson, and we have understood that it is only dialogue, peaceful way of taking our political parties into power that may ignite positive change. But war and other weapons may end up to destroy us. So they are kindly asking all involved to be very, very, very careful on what to do. They should conduct themselves properly. And they're asking all political parties to sign a memorandum of understanding. I think George Weah did that once. That the outcome of the election will be free and will be accepted by any losing candidate. And the court should be the best way where election petitions are resolved. That nobody, because of any nefarious or wicked intention or callous ambition, should institute the unethical measure by calling for demonstration, by calling for popular protest, and by taking to the street to destabilize the populace. So, Liberians, $10 million have been given, but I will not be surprised if INEC in Liberia can be accused, or George Weah can be accused because of manipulation. Because we have seen a lot of things that have taken place. What I'm only doubting, without coalition, it is sounding very difficult, or perpetually looking very difficult, for Weah to be taken out of power. You need a strong coalition in Africa, especially West Africa, to take a seat in government out of power. I think maybe the power ambitious attitude of both Alexander Cummings and Joseph Numa Boakai, who have failed to come together, may not necessarily produce the desired results. I think the ruling party is also praying, because these guys are well stationed, socially connected. They will fail with the Liberian system for now, especially Joseph Numa Boakai. Then maybe his popularity and also Alexander Cummings, if they had managed to come together, Opon could have been worried. But based on their present situation, it is only on rare occasion that a political party, especially a ruling political party who is running for his second time, his or her second time in office, will be unseated, or will be ushered out of power, or will be ousted out of power without coalition. Liberia has not done that, and they don't have the immediate intention. They have tried on several occasions, it has failed. And we don't know where is the popular Costa show. We don't know how informed the civil society will be. So it's a sad event, let's forget about it. Finally, in Guinea, 10 or more than 10 people have actually been killed because of demonstration, protest against Mamadi Doumbouya, the junta leader. He declared any attempt to demonstrate to the country as an illegal act, and it is punishable by law. The police and other people have heavily come against those protesting. However, the civil society and other members of the society are strongly bowing to ensure that it does the right thing. Thank you very much. It's been me, Edward Amara, Focus on Liberia, West African correspondent, coming to you with the handpicked review of the week. Thank you. Good day.